Hello, ladies and gentlemen, this is KairoS, and welcome back to Naval Action. It's been a while. I'm back in the game. I've decided to come back and practice a little bit before the major update that I've just made a video on. If you're interested, I'll leave a link in the description below, reading the update notes, and that's been doing pretty well. So I'm hopeful for the future of the game, at this point at least. But I think it's time to come back and experiment a little bit. I am very much out of practice with this game, but I think it's time to get some practice in, and I thought you guys might like to come aboard and join me on my adventure as we learn what to do in naval action. I'm going to make this as kind of an addendum to my Rags to Riches series. This is not going to be part of a proper series per se, but I might make a video or two just showing you how to get started as a complete beginner in this game. Now, I am a complete beginner at this point because I am on the Caribbean server, the new server, and I have not played around with this at all since the season wipe. So I did, right at the beginning, I did do a little bit playing around with it, but I think the season has moved on since then, so we're back at square one. Basically, I'm sitting here with my basic cutter in Mortimer Town. I'm, of course, playing the pirates, so the starting location for the pirates will be Mortimer Town. If you're the British, it will be, I believe, Port Royal. And I can't actually remember the others. The Americans are not on this map. I think they were up at Charleston, from memory. But this map, as you can see for the Caribbean server, now this is going to be the free-to-play server. So if you buy the game and you haven't, well, if you haven't bought the game and you've just downloaded it free-to-play, this is the server you'll have access to. Has only 4 nations. And let's just talk about that very briefly, because I don't think I've addressed this yet. I'm actually becoming quite fond of this, just looking at this map. It feels a little bit more true to life, with less nations. We have the British dominating the sort of southern area around Jamaica here, and much of South America. We have pirates who are dotted all over the map, at the moment anyway. Obviously this might change as the political situation changes. And we have the French, who are over here, way off this side of the map. They've got a nice starting location way over here in the corner. Very good. And we have the Spanish. French, Spanish, British, and pirates, which I think reflects much more the reality of the Caribbean at this rough period in history that we're dealing with here. It was always a little jarring to have a Chinese player chase you down with a Chinese flag up in the middle of the Caribbean. I feel that this somehow reflects history a bit better. Also, I suspect that having less nations will mean we have bigger communities in those nations, if you take my meaning. So maybe less is more. So I'm sort of thinking perhaps it would be better to keep this server with less nations. Maybe just add 1 or 2 more. But I think 4 to 6 nations would probably be ideal myself. I'm starting to think that this looks pretty good. So I'm looking forward to trying this server out. So today, what we're going to be doing is going through what to do. Just quickly, I'm going to actually read this to you because you guys, judging by the reaction to my videos on the updates that I've been making, you guys like it when I read to you. So I'm just going to read quickly through these tips here. This is not the main tutorial. The main tutorial is actually up here, you can do. But I recommend reading these tips first. And for those of you who do not like to read, I'll read it to you. And we're actually going to be doing this part here for this episode. We're going to be going through the basics and just getting started, getting a little bit of money in the bank, as it were. So, it says here, you have been provided with basic ship and basic guns. Basic brig is always free and has free repairs. Use it to practice. So this is the only ship, I believe, in the game that you're going to not have to worry about paying to repair so much. So that's good. Ships that you brought or captured can be seen in the Navy. Now, if we click N here, this is the Navy section for you new players. Here is the Cerberus that I've already claimed this. You get this if you complete the tutorial, the final exam in the main tutorial. See the first episode of my Rags to Riches series if you're interested in how to properly claim this Cerberus. But for now, we're just going to pretend we don't have this ship, and we're going to go with the basic brig, which is there. You can see the stats for her. So the recommended actions they have here are familiarize yourself with the port and sail around the starting area, which I think they mean this here. You can see this grey section. This is the starting area. As long as you don't sail away from this starting area, you will not be attacked by other players. You can still attack AI, but you won't be attacked yourself. There's also home defense fleets that potter up and down this coast of every home port. For the British, it will be Port Royal in Kingston, down here. But as long as you stay here, you won't be attacked by anyone, and you'll have big, strong AI fleets to defend you as well in this general vicinity of home port. So it's a good place to potter around and get your bearings. We're not going to be doing that precisely because I have a little bit more experience in this game, although I am very much out of practice. We're going to head out a little bit further. So it says here, finish the starting tutorial and pass the basic exams, which I've already done. You can see up here. Let's just quickly discuss this. You should start, I think probably the best thing to do before you even leave port is do at least these first four, so you have some idea how the controls work. Then when you get a bit more confident, you can try the exams. You can see there I completed this one in 6 minutes and 15 seconds, which is a little bit above the average time. So that's great for testing your abilities. And then when you're really ready, you can do the final exam, which will demand of you killing 2 similar-sized 5th rates, I believe. And that one is quite tricky, but it is relatively easy to do once you know how the AI behaves. So don't be upset if you fail this a few times. You'll eventually get the hang of it. And once you complete this, you will actually get your Cerberus permit, and you will get a few supplies, a little bit of money, and repairs and so on that you can actually use to help get yourself started. But if you're just starting out, don't be frustrated if you can't finish this. You'll eventually get experienced enough to complete this exam. But we go back here. Where were we? Yes, open an outpost in the distant port to allow faster travel. Click Z in a distant port. Click Z to access outpost management. So if we do that, you can see here we have the docks. At the moment we have Mortimer Town. You will always get your starting port as your home port, as it were. You can actually leave this if you want. We're not going to be doing that. And you can have a new port for free. We should be buying a permit. We worry about that later when we actually get to a port we want. But I think that's a good guideline for how you might want to start your first voyage in naval action. So I will show you how to do your first voyage in naval action. What we're going to be doing today is we're going to grab some passengers, which I need to do, and we are going to travel first down here to Islet. We'll check to see what's in the missions right here with our basic cutter, and then we'll travel off to Blondel Cay, which is going to be a destination for delivering a passenger, which will give us a little bit of money to start with. After that, we're going to do something very silly, and we're going to go all the way down through the Windward Channel to La Navise. Now, La Navise is a pirate port, currently controlled by Farda, I guess, Clan Farda. And I think this will be a good spot to set up a base of operations for future commerce raids on the British Empire, because this is pirate home waters, as it were. The Windward Channel, I'm just going to go on a quick tangent here. The Windward Channel historically was a hotspot for piracy in the Caribbean, and it's reflected quite well actually in the gameplay. This is absolutely a hotspot for PvP. What basically happened is traffic coming from the Caribbean Sea, anywhere basically along the New World coast here, would have to come through the Windward Channel to get out into the Atlantic. The pirates knew this. This is basically the highway of the Caribbean, right along here in the Windward Channel. So they would wait in the channel for merchant ships to come through and grab them, knowing that they couldn't get away. And worse still, I think the winds come from the Atlantic here. I believe there's prevailing winds coming from the Atlantic. I think through here there's actually a wind this basically becomes a wind tunnel from the Atlantic. And so ships would have to tack their way back and forth up this channel to get out. Right? Pirates have the weather gauge, as they say. They have the wind behind them, and they can just bear down on these hapless merchant ships and take them very, very easily. So this was a natural ambush site for piracy, and the Windward Channel is a very famous place in the history of Caribbean piracy. But there you go. I just had to go on that tangent. I do love my pirate history. But anyhow, that is the plan for this episode. So I think what we're going to do just quickly is we are going to click... Is it M? No, M is map. I need to remember what the hotkeys are now. It's been a while. Where are the missions? I think it's this book here, isn't it? Quests, of course. Q for quest. So here we have missions. We have... Don't worry about any of this yet. Just worry about battle missions and economy missions. Don't worry about conquest. These two are what you want for now. Cargo missions are not going to help us for now because we don't have anything big enough to carry them, although it would be nice to take that to Little Anagua. What I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to grab that quest at some point, if I can, because that's right close and that's free money. But at the moment we can't do that. What you can do, however, is see these passenger missions. You can actually take these to... They can fit in any hold. They just weight one. So you grab a passenger, and you can take that to, in this case, Blodal K, and you'll get 22,000 reales reward, which is a lot more than the tutorial is going to give you. So right off the bat, you're pretty well advised when you're exploring the map to just grab a couple of passenger missions. I'm a big fan of the early passenger mission runs. Grab a couple of those. And now you can load them if they've probably gone straight to the hold. Yes, they have. So we now have in our hold 2 passengers waiting to be delivered. One is going to Blodal Key, and another is going to La Nevis, which is where we're going. Very convenient. So, all we have to do now is load up our resources, which is something you should always do. We don't really need to worry with this basic cutter. We could just go out without any resources at all, but we have them here. We have rig repairs, which you're going to use to repair your sails. We have hull repairs for your hull, and of course rum is going to help your crew. This is what you'll use to when you start losing men on the deck and men start being cannoned to death. Give them rum and they'll just get up again. They can fight with one leg providing they have rum, basically. And yes, fantastic. This is going to be... Well, I'll just load up quickly, I think. I'll put a cut in here and just load up. We're going to just grab a few supplies, and I'll show you how to get underway. When we're ready, we'll just close this down. We'll click Leave Port, and I'll show you what the open world looks like if you've never seen it before. And here we are, ladies and gentlemen, just outside our home port of Mortimer Town. This is where you will spawn out when you first leave the port and get out into the open world. You'll see other ships spawning in. There's Keefe, another pirate player. G'day, mate. And this is basically the starting zone for the pirates here. We have a couple of ships, players just sitting there, probably having a chat. Captains exchanging messages, no doubt. And you can see there's one of the home defense fleets, which will actually attack enemy players if they come too close to your port. So we can get underway. Very simple. And we want to be checking where the wind's going. I believe this wind will move anti-clockwise unless they've changed that recently. So we're going to have a bit of trouble with the wind here, but that's okay. We're going to head in this direction anyway. Now, a lot of players I've noticed on my channel previously ask why we move so quickly out here. Basically, open world is accelerated time. So this is the moving between instances, but when you actually enter a battle instance, the time will slow down to real time and your ship will move realistically. But while you're out here, everything is happening in accelerated time. So do not be alarmed by the fact that you're moving like a speedboat. So we want to get the map here, and because we have the sextant perk, of course, we can actually see where we're going. You get up here, you click show protractor, click where you are, right click, and you can plot your course. In our case, we're going to Blondel K over there. We want to get a little bit away from the land, and we want to head this way. Now, in the future update coming up, I have a strong suspicion that this whole area is going to be a safe zone. So, most likely this whole area will be okay for you to sail around as long as you stick close to the land by the time you're actually watching this video. Would be my guess anyway. But for now, as soon as you exit this area here, you can see down there we're currently in the capital area. As soon as that disappears, we're going to be fair game being attacked by enemy players. Or tagged, as they say, by enemy players. But we've got a good win for now. So we should be able to make it to Little Anagua. No, Islet. We're heading to Islet first. Very, very quickly. And we're going to stop there and check if there are more passengers to grab. Because that would be ideal for us, maximizing our income as for as little time as possible. We don't need to worry about cargo yet. We don't need to worry about being killed yet, being sunk. Because, of course, passenger missions don't cost us anything. There's no investment in picking them up. So if we get sunk here in a basic cutter with passengers, we have lost literally nothing except for the time invested in sailing from A to B. So I guess I'll leave this run here since we're almost there. You can get an idea of how long it takes to sail from A to B just by looking at that. We're making a pretty decent 30 knots, around about 30 knots for, obviously, for the accelerated time. So yes, I think that's all well and good, and there's no one around at the moment we can see on the horizon. One thing that you should always do whenever you leave port is check here in the combat news. So we can see here Zulu. Oh, Zulu sank a pirate player near Ocean Blight. Zulu is still ganking people. I remember this guy. He would often chase me down back in the day. And you can see there Lord Miles sank a pirate player near Santa Ana. So you can then check the map, find those ports on the map, and you know that there's players nearby those areas. But I don't think there's anything happening near us at the moment, which is good. So we are now at our port. This is a shallow water port, so you will not be able to enter this with a larger ship. But here we are, and this is the first leg of our voyage. You can see out there there's probably an AI. That's a Trader Snow. We'll come up here, get within range of the port, slow right down. And there we are. We can now enter the port and check to see if there are any more passengers to grab. Nice and easy. So here we are at Islet, or Islet, I suppose. A little pirate outpost off Anagua. Not much to do here except, of course, grab our missions, our passengers. We can check here what they want. They've got cargo going to Parrot Key and so on, but we don't need to worry about that. So, St. Nicholas, there's a passenger who needs to go to St. Nicholas, Loremes, and Puerto Plata. Now, we can check where those places are. Puerto Plata is a British port, so we definitely don't want to go there. Loremes up here. We could take the long way up and go drop off an extra passenger at Loremes if we so chose. But it would lengthen our voyage somewhat. I think we might as well grab the passenger to Loremes because it isn't that much of a detour from Blondel Key. We just have to go through these islands, up here through these Turks and KairoS islands here, which is going to be a little bit of dancing through the reefs, but that's okay. So we will just grab that quickly, and we'll take a slight detour up there. This guy wants to head to that outpost, so we will take him there. Just make sure he's actually in the hold. We now have 3 passengers on board, and we can continue our voyage. Fantastic. Okay, so we are now well and truly out into open waters. You can see the coast of Anagua just out there in the distance disappearing behind us. However, the wind today is not in our favor. You can see there, this is going to move anti-clockwise in the open world, and this wind is basically going to change, and it's going to get harder and harder for us to sail into it. And naval action, being pretty realistic in its sailing mechanics, is not going to let you sail straight into the wind like it's nothing. This is not Sea of Thieves, ladies and gentlemen. This is naval action, so you're going to have to tack. Tacking is going to basically mean zigzagging back and forth into the wind. So down here you can see there's actually a wind boost, which we could take advantage of if we wanted to, but it is a little bit close to British waters here. We have pirate ports down here at Port de Paix and La Tortuga. That's Tortuga right there. But I think we're probably better off if we don't tack down that way. You can see we've lost another knot because this wind keeps on turning up into our sails. So what we'll probably do is we'll go up like so. Once we get there, we'll come back down, zigzag back down here, and then up again. You know, that sort of thing. It does take longer, but it is possible to tack back and forth into the wind. The other option, of course, is just wait for the wind to be in your favor and choose the timing of your voyage more carefully. But because I'm in a hurry, I'm just going to tack into the wind. So what we'll do is we'll go maybe like so, actually, because we still got to... no. Tack a little bit further to, let's say, north by northeast. About that. That's better. So we can now tack into the wind. Just turn your ship like so. Maybe a little bit. Just go northeast for now because we've still got advantage of the wind there. And you can see we've just sped up considerably. So once we get to about here where the shallow water begins, we'll tack back down again. Zigzag in. And the wind will continue to move. So that'll make our job easier. And that's how you travel when the wind's not in your favor in the open world. It's a little bit more difficult in battle instances because you actually have to, if you tack into the wind, that's quite the maneuver. A maneuver that I need to practice and remember how to do. But for now, that's what you have to worry about. You just need to make sure the wind is in your sails and that you're heading in the general direction of your destination. The only other thing to mention while we're sitting here is fishing. Make sure that when you're out and you have an empty cargo hold, you're always fishing. Especially early on, you can have a read there of what that actually does. While this is on, your ship will passively pull fish out of the ocean and put them into your cargo hold. You can always destroy these, discard them, throw them back over the side if you don't want them. But if you keep fishing like this, there's a chance that you might eventually get something shiny like a sealed bottle, which will give you a treasure map to go and find a shipwreck. So you should be always fishing. You can turn these into provisions, which we can do actually at sea, I believe. Convert all fish, you can see here. And this will give us provisions, which we can now use for crafting later, or we could sell for a pretty penny at a friendly port. And as we have cargo space here, we're not carrying anything but passengers. There's no reason why we shouldn't be filling our cargo hold with tasty, tasty fish. So that's what you could be doing while you're just sailing along. And let's have a look at the map. Yep, we are definitely ready to tack down towards Blondel Key here. Actually, we could probably make it now. At this point, just straight in. We could probably go straight in. So we tack through the wind. You don't have to worry about tacking through the wind in the open world. It will do it automatically for you. But if you stay there going directly into the wind, you will grind to a halt eventually. You'll stop. But now we have the wind coming more or less beam reach. We've got wind in our sails, and so we can make it straight to our destination, which we can actually see in the distance. Right there. Fantastic. And we haven't had any trouble from enemy players. Good stuff. Okay, we're in Blondel Cay. We made it. Nice and easy. And we have our passenger to deliver. So to do that, we want to get into the basic brig's hold. I like to, just so I know where I'm at, I like to pull him out of the cargo hold and put him in the warehouse here. Put that there. And then you can right click on the passenger. You can see up there I've only got a couple of hundred reales at the moment because I spent them all on rum before we started the episode. But now we can deliver this fellow, like so. And if all goes well, we will get 22,000 reales, just like that. Look at that, easy. People say passenger missions aren't worth doing. They are absolutely worth doing early on, even without the doubloon reward. They're definitely worth it if you're just starting out. So, that is all we need to do here, except, I guess, check. We might get lucky and find that one of these guys wants to go to... Well, we could go to Port de Pêche on the way. St. Nicolas. So Port de Pêche is here. But we're not going to risk that because La Tortuga, or Tortuga, I should say, is... I mean, it's kind of a pirate port, really, officially or unofficially, but this is an open port, so anyone can theoretically stop here, and this is... A lot of people have their base here. A lot of PvP gods hang out around this area, so I don't think going down there is a good idea. We're going to avoid that, but we will head up to Loromers and repeat this process here of delivering passengers, and I think you guys get the drill by now. I'm going to just sail up that way and deliver this passenger. Okay, I've made it to the wonderfully isolated and safe port of Loromers, which is way up in the north of the map here, and not many players come here unless they're doing trade runs like I am. So we can hang out here as long as we like, really. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to check quickly to see whether or not they're at... Look at that. There's another passenger who wants to go all the way back to Blondel Quay, so we could go back there if we wanted to. La Isabella, Port de Pêche. So what I was thinking we might do... Two options. We could either continue going down around Pirate Waters here. We can continue along this archipelago down to Parrot Cay, then to Little Inagua, to Ocean Blight, Mortimer Town, drop off our resources that we've been gathering, our provisions, and then continue down to La Navas down here. That would probably be the smartest thing to do. We might end up picking up similar passenger missions that might send us down here that will give us a good income. Or we could take that other passenger and retrace our steps, head back down to Blondel Quay, and then straight through the Windward Channel, probably stopping at Mortimer Town along the way. We might do the safe option, because we did see, if you recall earlier in the episode, we saw that there was somebody killing pirates on this coast here. So what we might do is we might just retrace our steps, drop off this passenger who wants to go back to Blondel Quay, convert all our fish, and of course we'll want to drop off this person to deliver. I'm just going to deliver him from the brig's hold right here, and now we suddenly have almost 50,000 reales. Notice I've also apparently leveled up to Rover just from sailing back and forth, because apparently I was already, just from doing the tutorials, almost at Rover level anyway. These ranks will look different depending on which nation you choose, obviously, but the more you rank up, the bigger a ship you'll be able to use. So there we go. Nothing more to say other than getting back underway and heading down in the direction we came. I tacked back up and down this coast here quite happily. Hopefully we'll still have a good wind for heading south, so that the journey back to Blondel Quay will be quicker than the journey here. Let's get underway. So as you can see, I am not at Blondel Quay, I'm actually at Grand Turk, which is here, because the wind was blowing this way and kind of blew me into Grand Turk. I could have tacked back and forth to get to Blondel Quay, but seeing as the wind was blowing me this way, I thought I'd stop by. And I have picked up another passenger mission for Islet, so we can drop off a passenger here and here before we stop at Mortimer Town to unload our provisions. So you see how this works. You just be strategic about where you visit. You always check for the missions available and make sure that you are picking up as many passengers as you can as you explore the map, and you will make a surprisingly large amount of money early on, for a new player anyway. So, I'm just going to sit here and make myself a cup of coffee, IRL, because I'm waiting for the wind to turn. Won't have to wait long, just 5 minutes or so, and yeah, I'm going to take a break and I'll be back shortly. We're going to head straight down to Blondel Quay, drop that off. I'll probably just skip that to keep the video short. You know the drill by now. And then next time you see me, I should be back in Mortimer Town if all goes well. So we are currently about halfway between Blondel Cay and Islet, on our way to Mortimer Town, of course. And this is why, ladies and gentlemen, you want to be keeping an eye out on the news. You want to check the combat news, right? You see there, somebody, a really bad player apparently, sank pirate player near Ocean Blight. There is definitely stuff going down near Ocean Blight, so it's a good thing we didn't head that way. We also have something going down, according, if we go to the Nation news, Waggly Quinny here has warned us, somewhere up here. He's found 2 pirate hunting lynxes. Lynxes are fast ships, and they are apparently hunting pirates around Morty. He means Mortimer Town. Right, so somewhere around here, it says they're northwest of Mortimer Town, which is worrying for us because, you know, up here somewhere, there could be pirate hunters. This is why you want to keep an eye out on what's going on in the news. This is, after all, a online game. There are real people playing this game, and you never know when you might encounter them. So we're going to keep our eyes peeled here and try and get back to Islet. There's a lynx out there. That's what a lynx looks like for anyone who's curious. So we want to be keeping an eye out for a couple of player lynx who are hunting for hapless pirates like myself, just north of Inagua. And as you can see, we have successfully made it back to Mortimer Town. We managed to slink into port under the cover of darkness. We didn't get any trouble from players, and we have made already a good 85,000 reales just from sailing around. That took maybe an hour to do all that of sailing, and it could have been quicker if I'd actually bothered to wait for a decent wind. So there we are, and we also have provisions, which we can now ditch in our warehouse. These will keep. They're not going anywhere. As long as we have a port here in Mortimer Town, these provisions will be here for us to sell or use for crafting at a later date if we so choose. We have 1 more passenger to deliver, and I'm going to be true to my word, even though I'm well aware that this video is probably getting quite long at this point. And we're going to take advantage of a favourable wind currently and head straight through the Windward Channel to La Navas down here. And we will probably get attacked along the way, but if we're lucky, it is off-peak at the moment because I'm playing in Australia. So there are less players online at the moment than there ought to be. So maybe we'll get away with it. We'll only know once we try. So we'll leave port now and head down into the Windward Channel and see if we can establish a new outpost. So as we sail out of Mortimer, we want to be very much aware of what's going on around us. There's our friend Waggly Quinny over there in a pirate frigate. Very good. And you want to be particularly aware of any ships that look like they're moving quickly, like our friend over there. Also another pirate player, he's just disappeared off the horizon. Over there, there's another potential enemy. If I can just get my mouse to... probably smarter if I use the... There we go. That looks like an AI. That's a heavy rattlesnake. Off in the distance. It's a British AI. But you want to be looking out for players as you sail through this area. You can see over there, we can already see the northern coast of Cuba here, Baracoa, right? So we're going to want to be very careful, especially through here, because we have a British port on one side and a neutral port on the other, and players know this is a hotspot for action. We do have the wind at our backs, which is good, but we want to try and stay out of sight of British ports. So we're going to veer off a little bit, straight through the middle of the Windward Channel here, and try our best to remain inconspicuous. We are a very tempting target at the moment. And if possible, we will grab a wind boost. One might spawn in here somewhere, and if we can do that, I'll show you how to do that. But we just want to make a beeline straight for La Navasa and try to remain inconspicuous. You can see this channel spawns heavy capital ships like the Victory over there. So we don't want to be attacking anything in this channel until we've leveled up, that's for sure. But there's nothing more to report now except for sailing. We've already got a good distance just from chatting away like that. If the wind holds, we should be okay. there's a very good chance of seeing enemy players along here. So, we'll just have to hope for the best. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have made it through the worst of the channel. We have a bit more open water here now, and as I expected, there is indeed a wind boost right here, and I will show you how to use that. Sometimes players will wait in ambush at these because they know that this is a good spot just to sit and wait for somebody to blunder into your trap. But no one seems to be here at the moment, which is fantastic. These are all AI ships. So once we get closer to this wind boost, you can actually click on it. You can see there, we can use it for 5 minutes, and it will give us a 64% speed boost in the open world. And we now have this W up here, wind boost for 5 minutes. You'll see that counting down, and we can now get a little bit more speed as we zip across the map towards our destination. You can see out there we actually have a player. Fortunately for us, he's friendly. Looks like he's also in a brig. So Mkhtari over there is a good sign, because that if there was a British player somewhere around here, he would have already been tagged, no doubt. We could, incidentally, if you want to say hello, you make friends, you can click message. We could message him if we wanted to, I believe, although we might be out of range at this point. So you can actually talk to them. Oh no, it's down here. So you click message, and then you'll come up with a message box here, and we're just going to salute him as he goes past to say hi. That's a shorthand for a salute, say hello as we pass him. So I think we're going to make it, ladies and gentlemen. This looks promising. If there is no one else around here, sinking pirates, you can see our destination right there. That is our island. And once we're there, we can unload our passenger, and I'll show you how to do the outpost setup. And I'm very happy to say, ladies and gentlemen, we did indeed make it to La Naves quite intact. So we can now just go in here. We've got a few more fish. We'll worry about those later. We can now deliver our passenger, and that should put us up to around 120,000 reales. We have made our first 100,000 reales on the Caribbean server. Fantastic. That's good. We can quickly check what missions might be available. Passenger missions. So maybe, yep, see there's one for Port de Paix if we wanted to go back and drop one off there, but that is where we're going to probably end it for now. The only other thing to mention, I think, now is the port. So to do that, we're going to establish our outpost here. We click the outpost button, or Z. You're going to need to buy a permit. The first one is free, and they will get exponentially more expensive as you go forward, as you level up more, buy more of them. But the first one's free, and then the permit's free, then you need to actually buy the outpost itself, construct the outpost. You can build an outpost at this port. We're going to lose some of that money we've just earned, and there we go. We now have an outpost at La Naves. We can now safely keep our provisions here. We can safely keep our ships here, and we can move between one port and the other quite happily without fear of, losing our stuff in the warehouse. This is now officially one of our homes, a home away from home, you may say, and we can use this port in future to attack enemy shipping. And that's about it, really. There's no combat for this particular little tutorial here. This is just navigating through the open world and making your first 100,000 just by doing some passenger missions. Ladies and gentlemen, this is how you get started at the very basic level in Naval Action. I will probably make some more videos similar to this in future, but for now, if you want to learn more, you can see my Rags to Riches series, which I will leave linked in the description below. It's a little bit outdated now, so some things will be a bit different, but broadly speaking, it is still very current, and it should help you get going if you want to learn more about the game. This has been KairoS. Hope to see you all again in the future. Bye for now.